Now, as you can see here, it's just standard black. It's compatible with the Sega Saturn, the PC, the Mac, the Switch, and other USB-enabled devices. But you'll see here, not only is it USB, it's also for Sega Saturn itself. So this is going to be over 2.4 gigahertz wireless as opposed to Bluetooth or any other weird secondary IR sensor wireless. The widely praised Sega Saturn control pad has received new, fine-tuned features for this release. Take your game to the next level with Hall effect analog sticks to provide 3D controller support for the compatible titles on Sega Saturn with the console receiver, okay? You can also take the controller to USB-enabled consoles or devices to keep that familiar feel with your favorite games. Utilize modern features such as 4 shoulder buttons, home and select buttons, and button macros for additional features that celebrate all things Sega Saturn. So the big takeaway there is that it has Hall effect analog sticks. Let's see here. It comes with Sega Saturn and USB wireless receivers, has a 3.3 foot or 1 meter USB-C charge cable, that's great. Features dual Hall effect analog sticks for durability and precision. Dual analog rumble motors incorporated in the controller. It says it's only available when paired with USB receiver and applicable titles. 4 shoulder buttons, including home and select buttons, rechargeable 500 milliamp hour lithium-ion battery, compatible with Sega Saturn consoles via the console receiver, compatible with PC, Mac, and other USB-enabled devices via the USB-C receiver, and up to 30 feet or 10 meter wireless range. So, let's crack into this thing. I'm both happy and saddened by the stuff I've read on the back. Mainly, every time there's 4 buttons on the top in consoles or controllers where there's only normally 2 buttons, the buttons are always like weird and never really that conducive for 2 fingers, but also too hard to press with just 1 finger. As we take the slip cover off, you'll see here a diagram of what we're about to see. And it just mentions Sega Saturn on the back there. Alright. See if we can get this lid off. Come on, Gravity, do your work. It's coming out. It actually is moving. There we go. Okay. Share a bit of your retro side. Tag us on social media at Retrobit Gaming. Nice. This is obviously what you need to do to switch between different various USB modes, and how to pair them and what buttons do what things when in those modes. But just to look at the controller, let's start with the receivers. This is the 2.4 gigahertz receiver for the Sega Saturn itself. Has a little, I don't know if you can hear that, a little button for syncing. And he even mentions that it's the version 2. Again, I think I brought that up in one of the previous Retrobit controllers. And you could tell that they're still using one of those previous Retrobit controllers because right there is micro USB-C. Or is micro USB. Who knows? Maybe micro USB-C might be a thing one day. A smaller USB-C port. So that's that one. And then this should effectively be the same thing. Yeah, it's just a USB dongle. RB for Retrobit, SGA for Sega. And it too has a button for pairing to the controller. But now, the controller. So I'm going to go immediately looking at the triggers. Oh my, well, it's better than I thought, that's for sure. Usually they're like the back one's just the same thickness as the front one. I think it's just because the top of it's deeper than normal controllers, so they have room for that. Upon first touching, this one sounds clickier, and this one sounds a little bit mushier, but on the whole, they're effectively the same. These are definitely the same, and they feel pretty much, these front ones feel pretty much like the standard Sega Saturn shoulder buttons. So that's interesting. I'm not quite sure. I mean, obviously these will only be applicable in certain games that would use that. It is interesting that this is a USB-C port, and the adapter is a micro USB. So that means you will not be getting a charging cord for the micro USB. But realistically, I mean, I don't know that we needed either of them in this day and age. Either the micro USB cord or the USB-C cable. These are slipperier than oh my god, Swish thumbsticks, but they look the same. They're much clackier and louder too, but they have a nice return, so that's good. The D-pad is exactly the way you would expect it to be, with the rolling circle. XYZ and ABC, yeah, it's just like the other Sega Saturn controller that I've reviewed before from them. And of course, these don't need to feel like anything, they just need to push. They are flush with the system, so you don't accidentally bebop them while you're doing something. And then the start button is exactly how you'd expect the start button to feel on a Sega Genesis controller. On a Sega Saturn controller, excuse me, holy crap. And let's go, let's take this off now. I'm gonna use this. To get underneath there. There we go. Ba-bam! And of course you can see the circle, the square. I'm sorry, they're not circle and square because it's like for multimedia purposes, right? It's a stop, it's a play pause, and it's a repeat or shuffle. I think it's a repeat button, 2 arrows circling. Anyway, I don't like gloss, but I know they're trying to hit home the feel of the original Sega Saturn controller, so I'm not going to fault them for that. But I'm also going to save the rest of my thoughts for the review, which will be in the description below. Of course, below that even is the link straight to buying this if you don't want to wait for the review, or if you don't want to read through it and you just want to skip to straight to buying it. But for now, that's all I'm going to talk about. I want you guys to have a good day, okay? Bye.